intro my live video.
Welcome to a new Scary Tuesdays special about St. Valentine's Day. Today, we're talking about Jeff the Killer's creepypasta again, and we'll share with you a story we've made up about him and his arch enemy Jane. Hope you like it. The Richardsons were a normal family. They had been in the same neighborhood their whole life. Their house had been passed on from generation to generation. The young Jane Richardson was tired of her quiet life. Always the same story. Nothing exciting ever happened in that town. One day, while she was daydreaming looking out the window, she saw a minivan full of stuff parked at the front of the house opposite the road. Nobody had lived there since old Mr. Johnson died years earlier. New neighbors! She saw a young guy with pale skin and brown hair coming out of the car. He was wearing a t-shirt with black and white stripes. Behind him, she saw another guy, a bit younger. He looked her age. They were pretty cute, actually. "Jane, dinner is ready!" The next morning, Jane went downstairs for breakfast in her pajamas, and her mother told her the Woods had just moved. They had 2 boys and they would go to her same high school. Her mom always knew what was going on around them. Jane took longer to get ready that day. She brushed her hair carefully, put on her favorite skirt and knee-high socks. She waited at the door for a couple of minutes to see if the 2 brothers were coming as well. But when she checked the time, she realized she was late, so she left running. When she arrived, Jeff was already there, sitting at the end of the class. He looked sad, looking out the window with lost eyes. She wanted to approach him and talk to him, but the bell rang and the class started. At lunchtime, Jeff didn't move from the chair. Jane wanted to introduce herself, but her friends dragged her into the dining hall. "Hey, Michael hasn't invited me to the dance. Can you believe it? Has anybody asked you already?" Jane wasn't paying attention to Stacy. She was thinking about the new boy. "Hello, are you listening? This is important." "Yeah, sorry. I'm sure he'll ask you soon." She didn't want to keep talking about the St. Valentine's dance. She still didn't have a partner to go with. She walked down the hallway. At the end of it, she saw Jeff putting something inside his locker, looking sad. When she went back home after the cheerleaders' practice, it was almost night. It was pouring rain and she didn't have an umbrella. She walked with her black boots, trying not to step on the puddles. But then, when she turned around the corner, she found a violent situation. Jeff was laying on the ground and his nose and his lips were bleeding. His clothes were soaked and dirty, with mud and blood. Next to him, Randy, Troy, and Jake were trying to find money in his backpack.
What the fuck is this? He's only got shit in here. We should beat him so he learns to carry valuable things with him. I'm getting wet because of this moron. Let's go home, Randy.
Randy kicked him one last time in the abdomen before they left. Jane ran towards him and helped him get up, holding Jeff's head with her arms. His eyes were closed. It looked like he had fainted. When she looked at his face, Jane thought he was sweet and cleaned the blood from his face. "Are you okay? Does it hurt a lot?" Jeff half opened his eyes and stared at her. His penetrating look made Jane blush. She felt butterflies inside her tummy and her heart started beating intensely. The sound of the rain was interrupted by Jeff's soft voice.
I'm better than ever.
He finally said, with a smile on his face. She smiled back at him. He sat up, still dazed, with his hands in the stomach where they had kicked him.
I'm Jeff. Jeff Woods.
"I'm Jane, your neighbor. Nice to meet you." "Jeffrey Woods is gonna be mine," she thought.
Thanks for your help, Jane. If you need anything, you can ask me for help.
Then, Jane had an idea. She remembered that stupid St. Valentine's dance. The date was getting closer and she still hadn't found anyone to go with. Going alone would be a disaster, and even though she was embarrassed to ask, she gathered all her courage. "You could come with me to the dance, if you don't have a partner already, of course." Jeff accepted, a bit surprised. After this, they became inseparable. Jane loved being with sweet Jeff. When they were not together, she liked to look at him through the window. The days went by and the night of the dance arrived. Jeff was very handsome with his black suit and his red bow tie. The color matched his pale skin and made him look very attractive. Jane was nervous. She was wearing a red sequin dress and black high heel shoes. They danced all night as if the rest of the people didn't exist. She was leaning on his shoulder and he was holding her waist, until finally they melted into a magical kiss. Suddenly, Randy and his friends appeared. They took Jeff outside and Jane ran after them. The boys wanted to beat him up. Jeff got furious and a sadistic smiling look appeared on his face. He ended up killing two of them. Randy, scared, spread alcohol and bleach around him and set him up on fire. Jane felt helpless with the whole situation. She grabbed her phone and called the police right before she passed out. She woke up at the hospital with her parents and she asked, "What happened? Is Jeff alright? Don't ever talk to that kid again. We forbid you from seeing him again," her mom said. "But Mom, Jeff is special. You don't understand." "Enough, Jane. This is the end of the conversation." Jane, not listening to her parents, escaped and looked for him in every room of the hospital. She found him with a bandage around his head. "What happened to your beautiful face?" But it didn't matter what Jeff looked like now. She would still love him. Once recovered, they went back home. Even though Jane was banned from talking to him, she continued watching him through the window, and she realized he was acting weirder and weirder. It's like it's not him anymore. That terrifying smile never leaves his face. Maybe he forgot about me. One night, Jane woke up to the sound of the door. She went downstairs and found a note in the kitchen that said,
"I haven't forgot about you. Nobody will take us apart."
Jane, scared, grabbed a sharp knife. She went to the dining room where she found her parents sitting at the table, dead, and a terrible, disfigured Jeff waiting for her. His hair used to be brown but was now black. His eyelids were burned, his mouth cut, and he had the same sadistic look he had when he fought with Randy. Jane screamed, disconsolate.
Look who has finally woken up. Why that face, Jane? They had to go to sleep. Don't worry. I'll make you look as beautiful as me.
What do you do, Jeff? Are you crazy? How could you? I will kill you, whatever it takes. Jeff wasn't sweet Jeff anymore. He had turned into Jeff the Killer. He spread gasoline and bleach around Jane and set the house on fire. When Jane woke up, she was at the hospital again. Her head hurt. A nurse told her her family had been killed during the fire. When she looked at herself in the mirror, she got frightened. Her face was completely burnt. Later, Jane got a package with a mask inside, a bunch of black roses and a sharp knife. There was also a note.
Jane, I'm sorry you don't look as beautiful as me, but now we will be together eternally.
From that day on, she swore she'd take revenge on the treason of killing her family. How dare that damned Jeff take her loved ones from her? Jane's motto is the contrary of Jeff's. Don't go to sleep. To get in the way of Jeff trying to do the same to more innocent victims. However, when the time comes, will Jane be capable of getting rid of the strong feeling she has towards Jeff and perpetrate her revenge? Her best friend, her first love. Will they be together again, or is it just an illusion of a sadist in love? Happy day of love and friendship, TikTokers!